What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be doing a post-Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals Championship discussion that is going to be primarily focused around Power of the Elements, as well as a potential list if we even get one. But before I begin, if you happen to enjoy content like this, clicking those thumbs up and subscribe buttons would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. So to start, I would like to talk about the potential ban list, and if we didn't get one. I think that if we didn't get a ban list, the adventure token stuff, along with the tier elements and blight or sprite engines, along with the deck itself, it would be so much to side for, and that's not even including two of the decks that are featuring in this match right here, which I think brings an interesting conversation about if we didn't get one, what would happen with Punk and Scythe. My biggest fear right now is that the TCG could turn to Master Duels if we didn't get a list. And while I'm pretty confident that we might get a list, I want to stay in this portion of the video just talking about what if we didn't until we get to the if we do. But I bring it up because things like Token Collector don't do anything against decks like this or Splight. It's just really for the adventure engine, and there's a lot of cards that the sideboard just can't cover with only 15 slots, especially when the strategies are so vastly different. Now, I would like to talk about what if we do get a list. So, if we do get a list, I do think that the adventure token and the scythe along with E-Telly need to get hit somewhere, and we haven't even touched Minor Flu in this video yet. While Minor and Flu are powerful decks, the power creep coming in the upcoming set is going to change the landscape of the game one way or another. With so many different archetypes that do different things, I just want you to picture a card like Tier Elements Shaylin. I'll put a picture somewhere on screen so that you can see it. But her effect basically lets you send one monster from your hand to the graveyard to bring itself out as a free special summon and then mill 3 cards. So this doesn't only go for tier elements that you can use this in. Even far out strategies like Plunder, where you can send the Golden Hair in order to have her effect in the graveyard where you can discard 1 card, bring her back out, or any other play that you want to make. Now, I want you to picture that in a deck full of generic cards like Fairy Tale Snow, Destrudo, Jet Synchron. If we don't get a list, imagine Hulk and stuff like that. I think that there's a lot of unexplored parts with tier elements, and I understand that extra deck space is kind of a thing, but I think that some of these cards are so good as just generic standalone cards that other strategies are going to get a big boost by them too, and that would increase the power ceiling of the game much more than we're already anticipating. And while that always isn't a bad thing because you can have good formats with higher power ceilings, the problem comes with some of the playstyle. When you look at tier elements, they're a very sacky deck that relies on milling, and if they mill good, it's going to be hard to stop them. But when you look at Splight, they're a deck that has a quick play spell that can be thrown into basically any deck, really. Since depending on what you're playing, you can just get a Splight monster on board at the end to kind of just add a negation. So there's a lot with the Power of the Elements set that I feel isn't being talked about because of the dominance that people are expecting with Splight and tiers. But I just think that all of this is an interesting topic to bring up because since we just kind of had our final big event before the next big set. The next event is going to be much different, and this current format, we've seen complaints about certain cards and decks that feel louder than they have been before, and I would like to say that I don't think that variance isn't necessarily the problem. I think it's the cards that we currently have that is the problem. Joshua Smith made a post saying in which he believes we need a better answer to floodgates, and I think that's partially true. What he was sort of suggesting was a better Twin Twisters or better Cosmic Cyclone, and I've kind of had the idea of what if the Nightmares were to get power crept? I think it's been a few years since we got the Nightmare monsters, and maybe it's time to have something so easily accessible to out these floodgates, which I know sounds crazy, but there has to be a way to make games more interactive for longer periods of time, rather than getting stuck under a situation where one player can't play and that eventually either costs them the game or both players are just breaking and one player draws the right card and wins from there. But the point is that the game needs more than just a reliance on a rare chance where games go past turn 3, because of the power ceiling of decks today and what they can do. Being able to end with floodgates at the end of all of that makes it too strong for any deck to beat, in my opinion, and I think that no deck should be unbeatable. And when you look at the game, or the championship game last night or whenever it was, the Sky Striker versus Sword Soul match, you see the Sky Striker player end on Shizuku and set 5, but the Sword Soul player across him has Anti-Spell, a set Rivalry, 3 other back row, Baron, and I think he had Boxia and Chizhao. I might be wrong about the exact board there, but I know that he had about 2 or 3 monsters on board along with all those sets, and one of those was Baron, which is an Omni-Neg level 10, which standalone, it's a fair card, but when you back it up with the entire toolbox of the Sword Soul Synchro stuff, along with the floodgates that you can back that up with, it's not going to be a good time for the opponent. Another thing that I would like to mention is that with the potential, or with the release of tiers coming, one thing that kind of scares me in the next format is these generic engines. So we've seen Adventure in everything since February, and Punk has been going in just about everything. We even saw a Punk Tri-Brigade list top 64, and about that, and I know I'm saying this in the middle of the video, I'm sorry about that, but for decks that happen to top, and I didn't include in the video last night, any of them that I could find, I will be posting in the description of that video, so that I don't make the content too repetitive. To get back to my point, we've seen what Adventure has done to Master Duels. Everything is basically Adventure, and it's Flu, it's DPE, and stuff like that, and it's just so bland to look at when everything is the same. The reason why I'm showing this match here is because it's 2 decks that play the cards they're supposed to. They're playing Sky Striker and Marine Cess cards. It's not Artifact Scythe. It's not the Splight deck, which will be playing Toad to revive the Toad. And I get that for a rank 2 deck, you could say Toad is fine, but it's just that half the main deck is hand traps. So it plays a lot of stuff to make the deck better than what it really is. I think that the fact that you can play a Splight engine is another thing that should be looked at, because it makes me wonder how deck building would look like post a list and before a list, if that makes sense. And my point is that I just don't think that it would be healthy for the game if we did not get a list, because I think this was a mistake, and we have to hope it was. But when the ban list first dropped, this previous one, there was an update for a short while that said that we wouldn't see a list until December 25th. Shortly after, that was removed. So if we don't get a list before Power of the Elements, will every deck just be engine.deck for 6 more months of this until the Ishizu cards come out and Ishizu tiers kind of take over with the remnants of whatever good engine is left? It's just something that I hope Konami is keeping track of, because we shouldn't have all these decks that can play things that they shouldn't be playing, because it takes away from one of the best things in the game, in my opinion, which is matches like this. Mind you, I don't play either of these decks. I have a certain preference with decks I play, and neither of these are my type, but I respect what they are because they aren't unfair. I mean, they can do unfair things, but they aren't unfair. And it's genuinely fun to watch them play because it's their cards. To round out this video, I'd like to say that my next video will probably be a ban list prediction, as it's going to be a little bit copium because I think that we really do need one. But I'd also like to say that I'm probably going to take a break from uploading tomorrow and resume the day after. So if you don't see me post tomorrow, it's not that I stopped. I'll be back the next day. But anyways, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.